Brothers and sisters in Islam, today I want to share with you a hadith that is found in Sunan at-Tirmidhi. And it is a beautiful hadith and there are many lessons to learn from it. Inshallah ta'ala, we won't take long. I chose to title this video, Did you ask for a righteous friend? Did you ask for a righteous companion? You'll know the reason for that, inshallah ta'ala. So let's begin with this hadith. And this is narrated by Hurayth ibn Qabisa. Hurayth ibn Qabisa, rahimahullah. He's from among at-Tabi'in. So at-Tabi'in are those who came after the companions. So he says, قدمت المدينة فقلت اللهم يسر لي جليسا صالحا. So he narrates a short story for him. He said, I came to Al-Madinah. Once he arrived to Al-Madinah, he made a dua. He said, Allahumma yassir li jalisan salihah. He said, Oh Allah, grant me a righteous companion, someone righteous that I may sit with and benefit from. Subhanallah. And I want to ponder and reflect over this beautiful dua he made. Brothers and sisters in Islam, have you ever asked Allah Azza wa Jal this matter? This was something that as-Salaf, rahimahumullah, used to do. When was the last time you sat, you raised your hand, and you said, Oh Allah, grant me a righteous companion. You know, even if it was to sit with someone that may benefit you in this world and in the afterlife. And you know, most of us as well, we have phones. And every day we wake up in the morning and we scroll on our phones. Some of us are following Islamic channels, scholars, du'at, and so on. So we scroll through this phone hoping that we may benefit and learn something. But have you ever asked Allah Azza wa Jal, before you scroll your phone, to see the feed and what people have uploaded and what Islamic content is out there? Before you do that, have you ever asked Allah Azza wa Jal, saying, Oh Allah, grant me a beneficial lecture today. Grant me that I listen to a beneficial lecture today. Or grant me that I read something beneficial today. Brothers and sisters in Islam, this is very important that we have this type of relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal, in where basically we ask Allah Azza wa Jal for all our matters and what benefits us in this worldly life and in the afterlife. So, brothers and sisters in Islam, let's learn from Hurayth ibn Qabisa that every single time you're going to meet a group of people or you're looking to meet someone, ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grant you righteous company. And even when you go from one country to another or you visit a certain place, ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grant you righteous company. And before you scroll on your phone and you want to look for Islamic content, ask Allah Azza wa Jal and say, Oh Allah, grant me some beneficial knowledge today so that I may read or listen to. Okay, let's continue with this story. So Hurayth, rahimahullah, he said, فَجَلَسْتُ إِلَىٰ أَبِي هُرَيْرَةَ Allahu Akbar. Allah Azza wa Jal answered his dua and he said, so I had the chance to sit with Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. What a beautiful companion. Imagine having the chance to sit with Abu Hurairah, the one who narrated the majority of hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And when he sat with Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, he said to him, إني سألت الله أن يرزقني جليسا صالحا. He sat with Abu Hurairah and he said to him, Oh Abu Hurairah, I asked Allah to grant me a righteous company. So in other words, he's saying, my dua has been accepted and Allah Azza wa Jal has made me sit with you today. And this is very important for us, brothers and sisters in Islam, that when Allah Azza wa Jal answers a dua of ours, that we acknowledge it. We acknowledge that this is how Allah answered my dua. And this is one of the ways in how a person may strengthen his certainty in the belief of Allah Azza wa Jal. One of the ways to strengthen your certainty in Allah and that Allah Azza wa Jal exists and you believe in Him is to connect your dua to how Allah Azza wa Jal answers it for you in this worldly life. Now, so if you make a dua and then whatever you asked for, you see it in your life, Allah Azza wa Jal grants you that should increase your certainty in Allah, that should increase your faith. That's one of the means of how to strengthen certainty in your belief in Allah Azza wa Jal. طيب. So now he says to Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, حدثني بحديث سمعته من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لعل الله أن ينفعني به. So now that he sat with Abu Hurairah is a righteous man, he's a companion. He said to him, tell me a hadith that you heard from the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam that Allah may benefit me with. Okay, so he said to him, teach me a hadith that you heard from the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu said, I heard from the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, إن أول ما يحاسب به العبد يوم القيامة من عمله صلاته فإن صلحت فقد أفلح وأنجح وإن فسدت فقد خاب وخسر. So now he's going to benefit something incredible, and we're all going to benefit. And everything we're going to benefit from now on until the end of the lecture is a result of a dua. Subhanallah. He said, oh Allah, allow me to sit with someone righteous. Allah gave him that opportunity, and now look what he's going to learn. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu said to him, I heard from the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam that the first thing a slave will be held accountable for on the day of judgment for his deeds is his prayer. That is the first thing a person is questioned about on the day of judgment, my brothers and sisters in Islam. That's the first thing Allah Azza wa Jalla will ask you about. And what is meant by this is the obligatory prayers. And why is this the first thing that Allah Azza wa Jalla asks you about? Because it is the most important deed after the shahadatain, after the testimony of faith. The most important deed and the greatest deed after at-tawheed, after la ilaha illallah, is as-salat. In fact, the obligatory prayers, the 5 daily prayers, are a manifestation and they are a display of your la ilaha illallah. If a person truly believes that there is no Lord worthy of worship, then he will show this in his actions. And the greatest actions that you may implement la ilaha illallah with is your prayer. So la ilaha illallah, you say it in your tongue and you believe it in your heart, and then you action it out. And the greatest way to action out la ilaha illallah on your limbs is as-salat, is the prayer. Therefore, it is the first thing that a person will be questioned and held accountable for on the day of judgment. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, he said, فَإِن صَلَحَتْ, if it was sound and upright, if the prayer was correct, all the obligatory prayers were correct, and they were sound, فَقَدْ أَفْلَحَ وَأَنْجَحَ. Allahu Akbar. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, then indeed such a person will be successful and he will be saved. He is saved from the hellfire, and he has succeeded and he has passed. Yani Allah Azza wa Jal is pleased with him, and this person is going to the paradise. And then the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, وَإِن فَسَدَتْ فَقَدْ خَابَ وَخَسِرْ. And if it has been corrupted, if the prayer was ruined, a person did not pray, neglected the salat, missed some of the obligations, missed some of its conditions, it was ruined and destroyed, فَقَدْ خَابَ وَخَسِرْ. Then he has indeed failed and he has lost. Subhanallah. Yani a person now has become a loser because of the punishment that he will be facing after this accountability. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. Now, brothers and sisters in Islam, most of us know this part of the hadith, but I want to share with you the final part of this hadith. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu goes on to say that then the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, فَإِنِ انْتَقَصَ مِنْ فَرِيضَتِهِ شَيْءٍ. If a person, there was deficiency in his obligatory prayer. So let's say you've prayed your obligatory prayers, but there is deficiency in them. Now, what does deficiency in the obligatory prayer mean? The ulama rahimahumullah, they said there are 3 possibilities for this. Number 1, it can mean that the prayer itself was lacking certain sunan, certain recommended practices of the prayer, such as certain adhkar that a person is recommended to say, or the humility, the khushu' in the prayer, and so on. So that could be one of the meanings of if your obligatory prayer was deficient, it's lacking, it's missing. Number one, it's missing sunan, verbal sunan of the prayer and actional sunan of the prayer. The other meaning that al-ulama rahimahumullah said for deficiency in the obligatory prayers, it could mean that it's deficient in the obligatory actions and the conditions of the prayer. So let's say your obligatory prayer was missing. It was missing obligatory acts within that salat or conditions of the prayer. And also al-ulama said there is a possibility for deficiency in the obligatory prayer that it means obligatory prayers were completely missed. A person completely missed some obligatory prayers. He did not pray them, such as Salat al-Fajr. He woke up for that day, he missed it and he never prayed it. Or a Salat al-Asr, he never prayed it. And there are certain missing obligatory prayers in his life. So this is what the possibilities of deficiency in the obligatory prayer could mean. What happens then? Allah Azza wa Jal will say, انظروا هل لعبدي من تطوع. Allah Azza wa Jal will direct his speech to the angels. And he will say to them, look into the record of my servant, of my slave. Does he have any voluntary prayer? Does he have any Sunan al-Rawatib? Does he have any witr prayer? Does he have any duha prayer? Allah Azza wa Jal then he says, فَيُكَمِّلُ بِهَا مَنْ تَقَصَ مِنَ الْفَرِيضَةِ. And they will be used to complete what was missing from the obligatory prayer. Allahu Akbar. You see, brothers and sisters in Islam, it is from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal that He did not only teach us the obligatory acts, but He taught us with every single obligatory act that there are voluntary acts of that same deed. So, this is from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. If your salat, if your obligatory prayer comes on the Day of Judgment and it is missing, you've missed certain prayers, you've missed some of the obligatory acts in the salat, you've missed recommended acts in the prayer, it comes and it's deficient. Allah Azza wa Jal will ask the angels if you have any voluntary prayers in your record. And if that is the case, and of course Allah Azza wa Jal knows, if that is the case, Allah Azza wa Jal will complete your obligatory prayer with the voluntary prayers that you did. And as a result, your obligatory prayer becomes complete 100%. Allahu Akbar. Look at the beauty of this. Look at the mercy and the compassion and the kindness of Allah Azza wa Jal. Therefore, brothers and sisters in Islam, what we learn is that this hadith is encouraging you and I that we don't only suffice with the obligatory prayers. Add to your obligatory prayers voluntary prayers, especially Sunan al-Rawatib, and that is 2 rak'at before the obligatory prayer of the Fajr, and 2 or 4 before al-Dhuhr, 2 after al-Dhuhr, 2 after Maghrib, and 2 after Isha. And don't forget about your witr. And the minimum of that is 1 rak'ah per night. And you also have Salat al-Duha 2 rak'at, which you're able to pray after sunrise until 10 minutes before Adhan al-Dhuhr. And then the nawafil that you're able to pray during the day and during the night. Don't miss out on these opportunities, brothers and sisters, because there is absolutely no one among us that will come on the Day of Judgment with a complete obligatory prayer. There has to be shortcomings in your obligatory prayer. You and I, our obligatory prayer are full of shortcomings. We're missing a lot of khushu' in our prayer, especially in this day and age. We're missing a lot of adhkar, an opportunity for dua in our prayer. There are so many adhkar that most of us don't even know about. Most of us only know that in al-ruku' we say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. But what about Subuh, Quddus, Rabb al-Malaikati wal-Ruh, and so many other things. So now, our obligatory prayer is going to come on the Day of Judgment and it's lacking, it's deficient. How can we complete this? With our voluntary prayers. So brothers and sisters in Islam, pray as much as you can of the voluntary prayers in hope that Allah Azza wa Jal will use that to complete your obligatory prayer. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, ثم يكون سائر عمله على ذلك. And then all your deeds will be judged accordingly. In other words, your fasting, Allah Azza wa Jal obligated upon us Ramadan. But that obligatory deed of fasting Ramadan will be missing. So Allah Azza wa Jal made for us voluntary days that we can fast throughout the year. Those voluntary days that you fast, if your Ramadan is missing, it's deficient, the voluntary days you fasted will complete that. And even as zakat, we have to pay 2.5% of our wealth every year if we fit the conditions. And even in that, there is deficiency. So Allah Azza wa Jal opened up the opportunity for us so that we can give a voluntary sadaqah during the day and the night. And that voluntary donation we do will complete the obligatory zakat of ours on the Day of Judgment. And then Allah Azza wa Jal obligated upon us al-Hajj. Wal-Hajj is fard. So if the Hajj is missing and it's deficient, then there is the opportunity for al-Umrah, voluntary Umrah a person can do, and that will complete the fard of a person. This is what we wanted to share, brothers and sisters in Islam. And I share with you a fact here. You know, those who don't or those who miss out on the voluntary prayers, especially Sunan al-Rawatib, which are either 10 or 12 rak'at, and they are attached directly to the obligatory prayers, either before or after them. If you completely miss them and don't pray the voluntary prayers, the Sunan al-Rawatib, then you know what that means? During 1 year, you would have missed out on an opportunity to pray 4,320 rak'at. Allahu Akbar. As Sunan al-Rawatib, 12 rak'at every single day. If you are abandoning them and not praying them, then that's 4,320 rak'at you could have prayed. That's 4,320 Surah Al-Fatiha you could have recited and earned its reward. And the number of ruku' you could have done in that, and the number of sujood you could have done in that, and the opportunity for dua in these 4,000 plus rak'at that you're missing out on, with the opportunity of a dhikr and remembering Allah wal khushu' and so on. Subhanallah, brothers and sisters in Islam, don't deprive yourself of this great reward, and ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grant you righteous company and beneficial lectures, beneficial reminders, because all of what we shared today, if you benefited from it, that's because one Tabi'i, Hurayth, rahimahullah, asked Allah to grant him a righteous companion, and Allah granted him the ability to sit with Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, and Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu taught him this hadith, and up until this day we are benefiting from this hadith, and that was the dua of that Tabi'i. So ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grant us righteous companions and He grant us beneficial knowledge. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us success in this life and in the afterlife. And we ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who establish the prayer on their time, and that He grant us the ability and the strength to pray as-Sunan al-Rawatib, the voluntary prayers throughout the day and the night, and to accept all that from us. إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.